Hello everyone, Nick the DM here with some Dungeons & Dragons lore. Today we'll be taking a look at Candlekeep, the Great Library. Anyone who has seen the leak for the next 5e supplement, Candlekeep Mysteries, probably has some questions like, what will these mysteries be, and what is Candlekeep? While I may not be able to answer what mysteries these adventures hold, I can tell you what Candlekeep is. Candlekeep has appeared throughout the editions in books like Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide, Volo's Guide to the Sword Coast, the Forgotten Realms campaign settings for 2nd and 3rd edition, and Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus, to name a few. I'll be talking about all the details and information we've been presented with in these books, which are surprisingly consistent. So without further ado, let's get into the lore of Candlekeep. Candlekeep, renowned as the greatest library in all of the Forgotten Realms, was created in -200 DR, 287 years before Neverwinter was founded, for reference. Candlekeep is a complex of clustered towers perched on a spur of volcanic rock overlooking the seas. It is reached by a single road, the Way of the Lion. Lights burn in the windows of the keep at all times, and travelers approaching the structure can hear a low chanting. Imagine, if you can, the top of this crag hemmed in entirely by a tall wall. This wall is interrupted by several towers all the way around, and it encloses a large space from which even more of these same towers rise. Those who have seen this vista from above have said that it looks like nothing so much as a cake decorated with too many candles. The mist of sea spray fills the air nearest to the western wall, and in winter this moisture can cause treacherous buildups of ice. Sometimes entire towers along the western edge of the keep have been abandoned for the season. They become so overtaken by frost. From the center rises the largest and thickest tower of Candlekeep. If the other towers are well-wrought branches and blossoms, then this is surely the bole of the tree, strong, massive, and rising well above the perimeter structures. About the central keep, a garden spirals in rising steps, and those lucky enough to enter the library proper do so by passing around and up through this green space to the keep's main door. However, most folk who visit Candlekeep see the structure only from the courtyard east of it, where the facilities for arriving scholars lie. The only gate into Candlekeep stands at the end of the Way of the Lion, which is the only road that provides access to and from the outside world. This route extends from Baragost leagues away and winds a lonely path out on the peninsula where Candlekeep stands. The great double gates of Candlekeep are 3 times as large as a normal human, and wrought of a strange black metal that seems to repel lightning and be immune to magical divinations. Both of these panels are emblazoned with the castle and flame sigil of Candlekeep in their upper reaches. One of the 2 gates stands open far enough to admit visitors during the day, with the other kept shut. 5 purple vestimented monks tend to this entrance. One of them will step forward to greet those seeking admission, discussing with new arrivals their intentions and examining what gifts they have brought. As the first monk examines an offered gift, determining its title and provenance, a second gate guard performs a casting of the message spell. The Watered Havian sage, Waldrop, says that the recipient of this spell is an Avowed in a room nearby with a massive tome that notes the books in Candlekeep's vaults. Apparently aided by magic of some kind, that tomekeeper determines if the library has the book being offered and responds concerning whether the gift is accepted or not. One of the priests of Denir has mentioned truth-seeking magics being at work in this threshold. The door guard's fellows watch closely for any trouble, and other monks peer from the high towers that flank the gates, ready to summon help or lend magical assistance in case of attack. Those who are admitted are referred to as Seeker, but also addressed by the name if the monk knows it, or by Good Sir or Good Lady otherwise. The price for any traveler to enter the keep proper is a book. Those wishing to examine any writing in the keep's library must gift Candlekeep with a new tome of no less than 10,000 gold pieces in value, though this varies between editions. The donation must be of a work of writing not already in the possession of Candlekeep. Though the monks refer to this offering as an entrance gift, it is a toll to be paid and often a quite high one. To most, this requirement might seem difficult or even impossible to fulfill. After all, how is this would-be visitor to know exactly what Candlekeep offers and does not have in its labyrinthine stacks? To this end, most visitors come to Candlekeep with multiple books they suspect might meet with approval. Fortunately for some, the donation does not need to be utterly unique. Some tome or treatise the library doesn't have in its archives is preferable, but the monks are open to a few other possibilities. Rare editions, books with a great deal of history tied to them, even tomes with insightful or just interesting notes scribbled in the margins have all been accepted, as have the journals of folk who are well-traveled or highly learned. Heralds, priest of the gods Ogma, Gond, Denier, and Milil, certain archmages, and other acknowledged as the friends of Candlekeep are permitted to enter without making such a donation, though such folk often contribute to the library's vaults as a matter of course anyways. Except in cases of illness or when someone joins the order as an acolyte, no visitor can remain in Candlekeep for more than 10 days at a time, or enter the monastery less than a month after leaving. Once a visitor is admitted, the monks at the gate part ranks to allow the seeker inside the Court of Air. Visitors are instructed to cross that area and stand before the Emerald Door, where another monk receives them, offers them food, bath, and sleeping quarters, and arranges for each to meet with a monk who will help to plan and then supervise the seeker's visit to the library. The Court of Air is aptly named. This cobbled courtyard is empty, containing neither tree nor well. Its southern wall is the southern wall of Candlekeep itself, with a number of fieldstone wrought buildings intended for visitors to use along it. Near the western wall of the courtyard stands two buildings, the House of the Binder, a large temple of Ogma with plenty of space to allow his faithful to camp and socialize, and the Baths, a public facility that draws water from the natural spring beneath the keep. On the other side of the baths is the Hearth, a great eating place and social hall for seekers, which has shrines to Denier, Gond, and Milil built into it. The Hearth connects to the House of Rest, a structure with 4 bunk rooms where seekers are assigned quarters upon their acceptance. Finally, next to the House of Rest and built up against the eastern wall of the courtyard are the stables, where the mounts are housed and provisioned for the length of the seeker's stay, and the granary. The northern edge of the Court of Air is made up of a wall into which are set 12 towers. These are the towers within which visitors are allowed to study. The famous Emerald Door stands in the western wall. Here a keeper of the Emerald Door stands at all times, assisted by a small group of undermonks, who act as messengers and runners. It is the keeper who officially welcomes newly arrived seekers, and makes arrangements for their stay. Only this door leads deeper into the inner ward. The other towers have entrances onto the Court of Air, but do not have any point of egress into the inner ward and thus the rest of the library. These court-facing towers in the north wall, called necessariums by the monks, are the main places in which visitors interact with the treasures of Candlekeep. They are honeycombed with reading rooms and small gathering chambers where monks may bring individual tomes to seekers to be read, and where seekers may consult with monks on further material to enable their research. Despite being adjacent to the other towers and having bridges to more distant ones, the chambers that guests can reach in the necessariums don't allow access to the rest of the keep. From the Court of Air, one can see that the tall towers that rise up above the northern court are interconnected by covered walkways. Many of these are roofed but not walled, and monks, some of them under quite prodigious burdens of books, scramble to and fro along them. The passages are sometimes interrupted by small spiral staircases that provide access to higher and lower levels, and some of the larger walkways slope gently from one floor in a given tower to a different level in another. The citadel bears mighty, many-layered wards that prevent anything from burning except wicks and wax, prevent the operation of teleportational magics and many other destructive spells, kills all molds and insects such as paper wasps, prohibit the entry of bookworms, and have other secret properties. Because of these wards, candle lamps are often used, but no paper can ignite anywhere in the keep. An additional ward prohibits entry into the inner rooms except by those bearing a token. Tokens are built into the staves of office, borne by the keeper, the gate warden, and the first reader. These are known as glow staves for their most often used power. If one fails to utter or think of a watchword when passing a ward boundary by means of a token, all bearers of other ward tokens are instantly made aware of the location of the ward breaching, regardless of where the other token bearers are on Faerun. So if someone does not speak their special watchword when passing by a bounded ward area with the token, everyone on Faerun who has one of these tokens is made aware, including such people as Elminster and other very prominent mages. The inner rooms are where the most powerful magical tomes are kept and where none but the great readers may go, except in the direct company of the keeper or the first reader. Magical books and other dangerous items are kept in the inner rooms of the keep. Only the keeper, the order's head, and the great reader, his accomplished staff, may enter these rooms. Any information that may be found within these areas must be researched through the scribes, no browsing permitted. Though asking a monk of scribe about the inner rooms will result in them denying any rumors or knowledge on the inner rooms. The rank and file of the Avowed are divided into Acolytes, who are newcomers to the order, and scribes, who tend to the majority of the work of the keep. Acolytes provide labor doing the cleaning, lifting, and general sweating that a place of such size requires, and work at their studies, hoping to prove themselves and be accepted into the ranks of the scribes. The scribes do most of the archival labor required of the Avowed, and often pitch in with hands-on efforts when a particularly large chore needs doing. The master readers are the sages and elder monks who oversee the scribes and teach the acolytes. All master readers possess significant experience and are dedicated to the Great Library, and it is from this group that individuals are chosen to fill the upper ranks when the positions open up. Above the master readers are other high-ranking posts, each with a specialized duty. First, the gate warden, who tends to the security and order of the keep with the help of the gate warden's 5 under-officers. 4 watchers, who take turns patrolling the monasteries and watch the land and sea around from its tallest towers, and the keeper of the portal or gate guard, all 5 of whom have 12 armed monks, all experienced warriors, as assistants. These under-officers are also said to wield magical rods and rings to enforce their will. Next is the guide, who instructs and educates the Avowed. So just another person who will, just like the great readers, who will instruct and educate anyone else who is below them. And finally, of particular note is the chanter, who is responsible for continuing the ongoing recitation of the prophecies of the great seer Alondo, who once made his home here. The chanter leads the endless chant of Alondo's prophecies that winds its way into the citadel day and night in continuous utterances of the sage's predictions. He is spelled in this duty by 3 assistants, the voices, the voice of the north, the voice of the east, and the voice of the south. The gate warden, guide, and chanter all assist the 8 great readers. Each of the great readers is given an area of responsibility within the Avowed, usually a topic of scholarly importance, and acknowledged and treated as the foremost expert in that field. Finally, above them all are 2 others, the Keeper of Tomes and the First Reader. Where the First Reader's focus is maintaining the integrity of Candlekeep's scholarship and the ever-expanding library resources and base of knowledge, the Keeper governs the Great Library. The keeper's word is law, quite literally. Each keeper's edicts are recorded for the edification of future keepers, and all are maintained as ongoing traditions until changed by the word of a future keeper. Waldrop says that traditionally the keeper and the first reader are supposed to have an antagonistic relationship, one focused on the cloistered monks and the enlightenment goals of the library, and the other on the mundane aspects of scholarship and Candlekeep's interactions with the outside world. Although these high-ranking monks keep most visitors at arm's length, it isn't unknown for them to deal with adventurers directly when they need such services. While the scholars rarely have much coin to pay for the services of a company of adventurers, they do possess the precious currency of Candlekeep, knowledge. Acolytes are robed in black. Seekers, full brothers, wear robes of mauve. The seekers are the lowest monks. They do the research and fetch and carry. Above them are the scribes, who copy out works to order or compile books from various sources in the library for sale, the chief source of income for the community, as visitors are forbidden to write in the library. Over them are the chanter and the readers, from whose ranks the offices of the Avowed are filled, and who vote to fill vacancies. All the under-officers wear brown homespun, while holders of the high offices wear robes of various colors that bear adornments of gold thread and stripes of white. Only the keeper of the tomes can wear robes all of white. Travelers who enter the keep proper, clad in all white, can be expected to be stripped on the spot or cast out. The current keeper of the tomes is Uleront, a proud and haughty minor mage. It is well not to cross him. The travelers should humble themselves to avoid doing so, or try to keep out of the keeper's notice. Unfortunately, all petitioners who enter the central keep must sit at Uleront's left shoulder for at least one evening feast meal, and endure his searching questions. The current first reader, Tethtoril, is often mistaken by visitors for the keeper because of his intelligence, regale, and sensitive demeanor. Uleront rather resents this. Those who come to Candlekeep are permitted to remain for 1 10-day before departing, and must remain away for at least a full month before returning. During this 10-day, they may ask to read specific tomes known to be in the possession of the library, or they may ask the monks to find them tomes containing concerning certain topics. These works are brought to the readers' rooms in the tower that face the Court of Air. Guests are permitted to ascend into these towers and read, but not copy the tomes there, always in the company of one of the monks. Candlekeep has but one absolute rule. Those who destroy knowledge with ink, fire, or sword are themselves destroyed. Here, books are more valuable than people. Finally, the last notable location within Candlekeep is the Hearth, Candlekeep's pub. In the Hearth, guests and monk can enjoy each other's company and a good meal. Quote, the pub has a low ceiling supported by massive wooden crossbeams and narrow shuttered windows. A large fire pit in the middle of the room is surrounded by half a dozen tables, all and matching benches. 30 people can dine here comfortably at any time. The hearth is always open and the fire is never permitted to go out. A dozen patrons typically occupy the pub during the day, with more during lunch and supper. End quote. One of Candlekeep's main sources of income is the sale of books. Three kinds of such books exist: copies of tomes of non-magical lore, copies of spell books and other formulae, and the works of the Avowed. Copied lore. The copying and binding of a work of non-magical lore in Candlekeep's library is generally performed at the cost of 100 gold pieces or so, though quite large books are always more. This manufacture may take several weeks, particularly for large tomes, so it isn't uncommon for those who desire such a work to commission it in writing along with advance payment, and then come to the gate to pick it up or pay an additional price to have it delivered. Spellbooks. In contrast, magical books of spells and formulae cost much, much more. A spellbook might be priced at thousands or even tens of thousands of gold pieces. Each simple spell or cantrip in such tome costs 25 gold pieces or more, with the more complex and powerful spells fetching 100 gold pieces or more each. 2nd edition even mentions magical tomes such as spellbooks costing 10,000 gold pieces, though this cannot be done to tomes that are infused with magic, such as the Tome of Clear Thought. That means that the scribes cannot copy the magic of tomes or magical items, such as things like the Book of Vile Darkness in an extreme example, but they will copy books containing magical information, but will not or cannot create magical items. Works of the Avowed. Each year, the monks of Candlekeep release a small book stamped with a sigil of the keep, and credited to, quote, the Avowed of Candlekeep, end quote. These books are always focused on singular topics and contain short essays, excerpts, and other writings germane to the topic. They are sold at Candlekeep and by representatives in large cities for between 500 and 100 gold between 50 and 100 gold pieces per book, though some are often resold for a great deal more. Candlekeep also buys books and even sponsors adventurers on expeditions to seek out lost sources of lore across the realms. The exchange of coin in such undertakings is, of course, open to the usual sort of negotiation. Services at Candlekeep. Candlekeep attracts adventuring traffic in the form of individuals seeking advice, answers, and information, as well as those seeking copies of maps, records, and general browsings looking for clues to adventure and hidden treasures. The following prices should be a guideline for dealing with such individuals. It also notes that sage advice, or the advice of a particularly well-known or well-learned scribe, is twice the standard rates, or they say 2,000 gold pieces a day. This was back in earlier editions. But library is complete, and working with the scribe should be considered as working with a sage of an ability of 18 in any field, which in 5th edition standards I believe amount to working with someone who has an ability score of 18 in whichever ability they excel in, generally in the intelligence or wisdom department. So it'd be working with someone who's a lot more learned. In 2nd edition Candlekeep, browsing is tolerated under specific rules, specifically one big one. Petitioners must each be sent bearing the seal or sign of a recognized powerful mage, and said mage is responsible for the actions of the petitioner bearing his seal. Both Elminster and Kelben are on probation after agents bearing their symbols engaged in a magical duel in the general reading room. So anyone who is a powerful mage recognized by Candlekeep, if they give their symbol or seal or sign to someone who is not as learned, they can enter Candlekeep, generally just free of charge, but any responsibilities or any trouble they get into goes back to the person who gave them the seal. Speaking of duels and battles, attacking Candlekeep would be foolhardy. Although most of the monks are simple scholars, not actual 5th edition monks, they are just monks as in the basic term, a few are powerful spellcasters. If any such trouble occurs, an archmage and 1d4 mages investigate immediately. If they cannot bring the situation under control in short order, an additional 1d4 archmages arrive to lend assistance, which we can assume means that more will inevitably follow if the situation is not resolved. You can of course change this, as most of the Avowed of Candlekeep are either wizards, clerics, or even some paladins. So any of those ones could potentially be in Candlekeep, and they could assist with any disorderly conduct. And that is all we have on Candlekeep, an interesting place and a very useful resource for players and DMs alike. As a DM, Candlekeep can be used as an objective for the players to get to, gathering knowledge in order to gain access to either meet with somebody on the inside or find some hidden lore, or it can be used as a gateway into even more adventures, which is probably what Candlekeep Mysteries is. Anyways, I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed, and I hope you learned something today. If you liked this video, please give it a like and consider subscribing for more videos like this. Thanks again, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!